Hey everyone, welcome back. Do you have a range hood like this that is not working properly? The fan ain't working, but the lights are? Well, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to diagnose and replace the fan motor. So if your hood looks like this and it has the two knobs on the front, then this video should help you. Alright, first things first, safety first. You're going to want to put on your gloves, your glasses, and whatever else you need, PPE wise. Also, you're going to be having to flip the breaker on and off multiple times while you're working, just for safety. So essentially what I did there is I turned the light on to make sure that it had voltage. Then I told the customer, hey, flip the breaker for me real quick. They went ahead and flipped it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get a 1/4 inch bit, and we're going to take this screw out here. We're going to take that panel off, which covers all the wiring. Alright, as you can see up there, we have got all the wiring. We've got the line coming in, then the wire nuts that then connect it to the circuitry of the hood. So next thing what we're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and get our multimeter. We're going to set it to ACV or AC voltage, and we're going to go ahead and flip the breaker back on, because essentially what we're doing now is we're trying to figure out, do we have voltage going to the motor or do we not? So essentially there's a plug that's going to go through the wall to the motor, and what I'm doing here is I'm back probing it, which is basically pushing those leads into the back of that connector to the motor. Now what I'm doing is I'm turning on the fan, and as you can see I got 120. So I do indeed have voltage. Got it hooked up. You can see the fan speed switch there. I'm just turning it on and off, and then you can see on the multimeter that it's going from 0 volts to 120. So that way we know, okay, we're sending voltage to the motor of the fan, but the fan isn't spinning. So that right there tells us we got a bad fan motor. So there's just a little quick diagnostic for you guys on how to do that. So next thing what we're going to want to do is flip the breaker again. You know, we just want to be safe, safety first. You know, what's the saying? It's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, something like that. So it's always good to take the few extra seconds to, you know, put on your gloves, put on your glasses, flip the breaker, you know, whatever safety steps that you can take. It's a good investment. It's cheap insurance, as they say. Alright, so I got the new motor. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to take this little clip off of the motor shaft. All you need is a little flathead to pull it off to the side. Then I pull off the fan blade, and you're going to want to keep track of that little pin there. So I have that little red magnetic tray. Alright, let's see. Next thing we're going to want to do is remove these bolts. So I ended up actually having to go ahead and get my socket set because I didn't have immediately in my little bit holder there, I didn't immediately have the right size. So you might have to try to find exactly which one of these is the right size for yours, because it could differ. And they actually weren't tightened down too tight, so I just had to break them loose with that socket, and then I could unthread them by hand. Now I'm trying to get you guys a good angle. It's a little bit difficult because, you know, I'm taller than the hood, so I kind of have to lean under it and look up, but I still figured that this was going to be a good video because I have done this repair a few times on these hoods. These hoods are actually pretty good. They're very simple. Alright, so we're going to want to take those screws out, and then we're going to want to lift it up so that the posts come out, and then slide it to the side, pull it down. So we got the old motor out, now we got the new one, and essentially what we're going to be doing is the exact process in reverse. So we lift it up, we line those studs or posts or whatever you want to call them, We're going to line those up with the holes and then drop it down in there. And now what I go ahead and do is, this new motor actually came with new hardware, so it came with new nuts and locking washers. Or no, I don't believe that's the right term. I think it's like a star washer. And essentially what it does is it digs into the paint and scratches it so that way it can make a proper ground. Because the motor has to be grounded to the chassis. So I'm just threading these on, and that right there, I noticed, I looked, I'm like, okay, so that's where the old star washer was. Let me consult. Oh yeah, I dropped it here. Oh yeah, thankfully I found it there. Sometimes that can be a pain when you drop something and you're like, I know it just dropped right there, where'd it go? So I'm one of those people, I like to take my time. I like to do things right the first time. You know, that's something my dad taught me. He's like, do it right the first time. That way you're not going back doing it 2-3 more times. He actually said something else too, but just to keep it PG, I don't want to say it here. But anyway, you're gonna see me. I went ahead and sped up this part of the video because you're gonna see me messing around with these star washers and these nuts, and having a little bit of a slow time putting them on, kind of overthinking things a little bit. So anyways, I went ahead and sped it up. But yeah, you basically just want to put all these nuts on, make sure that at least one of the corners has that star washer on it, because it helps create the ground. And then once you got them on, you're going to want to go ahead and snug them all up. Alright, so now we got those on. What we now have to do is we now have to plug in the new motor back into the wire harness connector. And I'm trying to do my best to get you guys a good angle. However, sometimes I just have to do things by feel. I just have to feel things. And let me know in the comments if you're like that too, where sometimes you got to see it sometimes, whereas other times you just have to feel it. You just have to feel it and make sure it's going in. So right there, I did a quick test. I had the customer flip on the breaker again, and I just went ahead and tested it, make sure that the motor was spinning before I went ahead and buttoned it all up. And right there, what you're seeing me doing is I'm checking the ohms of the motor. It's not open, but it's not quite ohming out correctly. So, you know, for me, I'm just one of those people, I like to really isolate what the issue is. I like to find out exactly what failed and why it failed, and if possible, anyways. So I figured I'd throw that little clip in there. I was trying to ohm out the motor to see if it was open or if it had some crazy reading, but yeah, it just was out of spec. Alright, so now we're going ahead and we're putting this access panel back on. Put that one screw back in. And so what I'm doing there is I'm looking, I'm like, I pull out the instructions. This goes back to that thing I was talking about a minute ago, where on the instructions it tells you to put it on one corner, and then I'm looking and I'm seeing, well, it was on the other corner. So I was just kind of overthinking it a little bit, and so I figured, you know what, better safe than sorry. I'm just going to put it on both corners here, and then we're going to have a super ground, extra ground.
Not yet. I want to go soon, but you know. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it's nice. I want to go, but you know, it's like finances, and then people always need me to come do their stuff, and then it's like, you know, even on this trip, I had a bunch of people. It's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, the people are calling me, hey, my fridge is broke, can you come today and fix it? I'm like, dude, I'm not even there. And they're like, man, come on, I need you, and you're not here. Like, sorry, dude.
Alright, now that we finally got those straightened up, we're going to go ahead and put the fan blade back on. And you can see there I do another quick test. I like to test things out as I'm repairing things, just so that way I don't put it back together completely and then realize, oh, actually there's something else going on. Alright, so you're going to want to go ahead and slide this fan on. As you can see here, I am trying to figure out the right way to put it on. I'm trying to put it on backwards there for a second, and then I realize, oh, there's a lip, so it can't go on that way. And it's actually keyed. I believe it's like a D shape, so that way it'll slide on. And then you're just going to want to go ahead and slide this pin back on. Yeah, you can see me drop it there. Alright. There you go. And you can see it running there. It's running good too. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the screen back on and show you guys how good the airflow is. Check this out. Wow, look at that. Sucks it right up. That's good airflow. Hey, thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate you. Let me know if this helped. Go ahead and give it a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, later.